Hi, my name is Dillon Rossman. I'm a consultant for the IBM Planning Analytics practice here at Revelwood, and today I'm going to walk you through how to set up action buttons in Planning Analytics for Excel. So let's go ahead and start with a simple dynamic report. I created this off a view that I already had. There's nothing special going on here, but let me go ahead and add an action button. To do so, I can click on any cell, go to the IBM Planning Analytics ribbon, click on Action button right here, and it's going to launch a menu. So at the very top, you'll see TM1 server. This is where I can select from any servers that I'm connected to. Right now, it's just this one. Or alternatively, if I want to make this a bit more dynamic, I could reference a cell, and whatever values in that cell becomes the server. Now, of course, that has to correspond with the server. It can't be anything, but that is an option. But for purposes of this, I'm just going to stick to the default. Now, once we move on from server and we look at action, there are 4 different actions you can take. Run a turbo integrator process, go to another worksheet, run a process, then go to another worksheet, or just calculate or rebuild. So right now, let's just stick to run a turbo integrator process. Now, what you're going to see down here towards the bottom is I can select a process from my TM1 database. So if I click this drop down here, it's going to show all the processes that I have. Now, if I click something like, let's say, data copy scenario, you're going to see that there are parameters here. And what it allows me to do is fill in those parameters with a value, or I can use a cell reference to fill these in. Now, for our purposes, I'm going to actually use a different process, admin save data. No parameters, nothing special going on. You will notice there is an options button over here. If I click on that, I can change things like what kind of calculation it does once it's done with the process, what kind of messages it shows on success or failure, or if you want to have some kind of confirmation. And you can completely customize the message in here. I can put whatever I want within here. Now, I'm just going to leave it as a default, hit OK. And from there, what I can do is change the appearance. So maybe I want to say, instead of being called run, it's going to be called save data. And I can do a whole bunch of other things like change colors and fonts and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just going to leave it as the default, hit OK. And you're going to see, if I click on this, I can also expand it, make it bigger. Now, when I click on this, it's going to fail, and you're going to see what that looks like. So when I click on Save Data, it's going to say working like this, and what you're going to notice is it failed, which is exactly what I was expecting. Now, it'll do the same thing. If it's successful, it'll say the process completed successfully, or whatever you put within that message box. But that's one way you can use action buttons. Now, another way, if I go ahead and let me just restart, delete the action button, let's create a new one. I can say, go to another worksheet. Now, this allows me to go to a sheet within the same workbook, or a completely different workbook, whether it's stored on a local drive or within your TM1 applications. For our purposes, I'm just going to move to the sheet called View 2 within the same workbook. So I can click on Sheet here, View 2, and hit OK. Now, there are some options here that you'll see. Match title elements, calculation. Basically, what this match title elements does is it will transfer over any selections that you made in one sheet to the next, assuming that they are available selections. But for right now, I'm just going to keep everything as the default, hit OK, and I'm going to click the button. And what you're going to see is it's going to take me from View 1 to View 2. Just like that. And it refreshes all the data. And you'll see I'm now in View 2. But let me go back to View 1. And let's show the next application of action buttons. So let me delete this. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new action button again. And the third option is to run a process, then go to another worksheet. I'm not going to go ahead and walk through that just because it's a combination of the prior two. Basically, it'll run a process, and then from there, go to another worksheet. Maybe you're in a scenario where you want to input some data, and then you want to run a process to do something with that data, and you want to be taken to the next step, whether it's new data to input or a sheet to report on the data you just input and ran the process for. So those are some examples of how you'd use this third option here, run a process to go to another worksheet. Now the last one is calculate/rebuild only, and it does exactly that. You can use this button to refresh the data or rebuild the sheet if you have some kind of dynamic report with dynamic rows. So if I were to click rebuild sheet, and maybe I'll call it, I don't know, refresh sheet. Hit OK. And then I'll resize this just so it fits everything a little bit better. And what this will do is it basically will act in place of these buttons up here. But that does make it easier for your end users because they don't need to worry about what button do I click, what do I need to do. It's very easy to just have a button right here available to you and click it. And then just like that, it's refreshed. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new about action buttons in Planning Analytics for Excel. Please visit our website at revelwood.com for more IBM Planning Analytics tips and tricks.